This is the Be the Solution podcast, and I am your host, Maria Quattrone. And today I'm so excited for my guest, Travis Halverson. Travis was an ISA for over 7 years and responsible for over 600 closings in that time. He's currently managing 70 databases across the country. He has finally found his niche in real estate. Travis is someone who's passionate about helping to ease the pain CEOs and team leaders find with databases, always coming from places of simplicity. Talk to more people, sell more homes, change more lives. Welcome, Travis. I'm so excited to talk with you today on Be the Solution.
Awesome. I appreciate being here. Really excited.
Oh, my pleasure. So you certainly are the solution to CEOs and team leaders across the USA and Canada, helping them ease that pain through managing their database. Let's dive right in today and let's talk about uncover really what it is that you do.
Yeah, absolutely. So, I love that you say it like that. I try to be. Anytime that I get to meet with the CEO, I want to be a piece of value for them that they just might need in their life, because I do understand that databases can get bigger and bigger over time and technology always evolves. But I really enjoy learning new things about technology and putting pieces together kind of like a puzzle and seeing how I can help make real estate agencies' lives easier. And ultimately, if the agent's lives easier, then the CEO lives are easier. So everything kind of just snowball effects once you can set things up like that for them.
Absolutely. So tell us, what does it mean? What are you doing managing database? What is that? That's a thing, huh?
Yeah, it is. Now it is. I used to be an ISA. So when I was for about like 7 years, I did it for 2 different teams, just because I was always super loyal to my teams. And I realized that lead follow-up and lead nurturing was was broker agnostic. It didn't matter what brokerage you were with, you still did that sort of thing. You know what I mean? So I wanted to kind of grow it and do it with other people, and kind of wanted to venture out and see how I could help impact other agents' lives and other CEO lives, no matter where they were from. And I realized that it was an 8-hour a day job. Like, it was one of those things you had to be in there all day long, because there's so much stuff happening. People are responding, people are looking at properties, requesting tours. Someone has to be in there managing it and just watching it, because things will get missed if they're not. So I realized that I could really implement myself into people's databases, and just kind of be in control of it, and then really make sure that things are always happening in a good, smooth fashion. And that's really what I found my passion at doing.
How much business do you think is lost in someone's database every year?
Oh man, I can make fun of Preston, if you know Preston Guyton, but he every day I send him a report.
You can make fun of me. It's okay.
No, you're good. But I was telling you, he likes to use himself as an example, because he's like, hey man, I have like 250,000 leads in our database, and we're missing out on, I think it was like $4 billion worth of volume every day. He got an end of day report telling him that, just because there was like thousands of leads in agents' names that just haven't been touched. And it's not his fault. It's just, an agent can only handle so much. It's not possible for an agent to handle all of those leads by themselves. So roughly 8% of your database will move every year. Like, that's just the standard that people talk about. And if you can do the math of anybody's database, you can see, okay, how do we make sure that we take that piece of the pie and increase it? 8% is great, but how do we get 15%? How do we make 15% of our database move? You know what I mean? So.
No, you can't make people move though, can you?
No. Not at all. You have to, that's the scary part. People, and that's where I come from as well. As I've always had CEOs in the past ask me, he's like, well, how do we get these people to transact? I'm like, you can't force someone to transact, man. You have to wait.
You have to wait. I did a video the other day about it. You know, I do the daily live video over 310 days in a row. And I did a video about, you can't make people move. You can't make them move faster. The only thing that we can do is to do the process more and talk to more people, and get the ones who are ready right now. So keep growing that pipeline of business. If you're doing 10 appointments a week and you're not getting what you need from that 10, you got to do 15. If you're doing 15 and you're not getting, you got to do 20.
Yep.
You got to do whatever is necessary, because real estate, database, and closings is math, period.
Oh yeah.
So let's talk about that. What is, like, people don't get that. They're not.
Well, I used to say that back when I was in ISA, I used to have 2 appointments a day, every day, Monday through Monday. Like, it would have to be Saturday and Sunday as well, to make $100,000 as an ISA in my area because of that average price point. And like, that was how I mathed it out. And then 4 years later, I had to do 3 appointments a day because of the market, and things were changing. People weren't necessarily motivated to buy anymore. Like, there was just different things. The market changes, things shift, but your actions have to increase. So like, I had to change my entire shift. I was only setting 5 nurtures a day and 2 appointments a day, to the point where I had to get 3 appointments a day and close to 7 or 8 nurtures a day. So my actions had to increase. I had to double what I was doing almost, just to still hit the same number that I was going to hit in closings that year prior. But a lot of people don't think about it that way. They're just like, well, if I just keep doing this and doing that, it's like, you don't take into account of market changes. So
Market changes is critical. We know that we have to do, I guess at this point, it's probably 4 times the amount that we had to do.
yeah,
I'm guessing. I'll know more a little later in the year. So I'm tracking. And you need to see data over time.
oh, for sure.
You can't look at data like 1, 2, 3 months. I don't think that's enough data to understand the cadence.
Oh, for sure. I agree completely. I mean, especially where I was just thinking back from when like everybody was super afraid of like the whole COVID and like everything's changing, going to Zoom, going to all these different online sources and stuff like that. And then thinking nobody's going to buy houses, yet we were in like such a great market. And I had like my biggest year as an ISA during that time. And I was just like, what changes after that? How do we go back to this? Or what do I have to do differently? Because I was putting in a lot of effort, and I'm just going to have to increase the effort, but things are always going to change. So you always have to be prepared. And that's the cool part about like the database management that we do, is like, we always can adjust. We can always pivot. We can always see what we need to do to help agents grow and help teams grow just by managing that sort of thing. And every time we ask to pivot, like 100% will, I'll do whatever it takes to pivot.
So what do you think in regards to your team leads or CEOs, managing a database, how do you think it's improving their business?
A lot of the time it improves their business based off of accountability. It's if they let me. So, I mean, a lot of them will let me just really show them and kind of call out their agents on things sometimes. And like, if we audit the database, like, we'll listen to the call and say, hey, you sounded great. These are areas that you could possibly improve on, but also like, great job. Right. So like, we help hold people accountable with just the data in their name. We come from a belief of, if it didn't happen in FUB, it didn't happen. Like, I believe you're the same way though. You would say it all the time. You're doing everything in Follow Up Boss, and like, you track all of your stuff in Follow Up Boss, which is great. So there are teams out there that haven't logged in months, but we still run their database. So it's very difficult to see some of these databases that aren't being touched, but yet there are still people requesting tours, asking for homes, and we're trying to kind of hope that it's happening. But the more that we can push these teams into just using the tools that they're given, like the agents and the CEOs, like, that's what they really rely on me for, is like, Travis, can you please tell my agents how important it is for them to use their data, like their database, how important it is for them to actually go into their lists, go set up tools, all of that stuff. Like, they look at me as like another voice to not be, I mean, you've probably experienced it. How many times have you told an agent something and then someone else tells them the exact same thing, and then all of a sudden it clicks with them and they're like, oh man.
Sure.
And
like anything else.
Yeah. They just look at me as that 7th person to tell them, and it finally clicks with them. So I just try to set it up in a digestible way.
I think in this marketplace and in the environment that we're in, if you are not serious about this business, you should get the heck out at this point. If you're not utilizing what you have and you're not logging into FUB or whatever CRM, you really should just pack your stuff up and leave.
I could hug you. That's exactly how I feel.
I have drawn a line in the sand. That's why my team is smaller now. I said to people, like, look, I had to let somebody go that I really like. And he was doing some business, but he was doing business. The problem is that he didn't show up for meetings or things like that. And
Your
or
expectations.
he wasn't making all the calls all the time. So the business, I called some of the people in the database and they listed with somebody else. So I think that we mistake, we make a lot of mistakes in real estate. I think that, what do I want to say? How do I want to say this? Just because you're doing business, if you're not part of the team and following the team rules, then it sets a bad example for the team.
Yeah, absolutely. And this is something that stuck with me for a long time, but I talked to Matt Smith, and he was telling me that he just holds a standard. Like, he has his standards in place. It doesn't matter like how big of an agent they are, how small of an agent are. His standards there's no exceptions. And that's what I'm a big believer in. Like, no matter if you're on a team, you're on the team and you're supposed to be a part of those standards. You meet every expectation, whether you're a 5-day-old agent or a 5-year-old agent or a 50-year-old agent. Like, it doesn't matter where you're at. You're on the team for a reason. You joined the team for a reason, which means you should still be able to meet the expectations and standards. That means show up to role play, show up to team meetings, do the amount of dials that we ask, things like that. Now, if you go over those standards, that's great. That's just going to improve your life. You're just trying to do everything you can to give them the best life. But I mean, you can't want it for someone else. And that's something that Preston's told me a lot. You can't want it badly for someone else.
That's 100% true. And I was the biggest, that was like my biggest issue. I wanted it so badly for people. I believed in them and I saw something in them, but you cannot make a human productive, nor can you really tell who's going to be productive, because the ones coming out of the gate strong, usually, how do I say this without poop the bed?
They die off. They start good, and then all of a sudden they get fat and happy, and then they don't want to do it anymore.
Right. Then they see a squirrel and they go into a different direction.
No, you're 100% accurate on that, because it's true though. I mean, and I see it all the time. We'll have a brand new agent come in, young kid out the gates, just getting 3 closings a month, and then month 4 hits and he's down to 0. He's not coming in for role play. He's not lead gen anymore. He's just like, I've never made this much money in my life. And it's like, okay, well, keep going, please. Like, don't stop there. Like, I want you to succeed, but like, it's a consistent process. Like, I have
well, that's the thing. So that's what I was getting to, right, Travis? It's consistency. So what happens when you start and stop and start and stop, you lose momentum. 100%. So does your database of people. So it's not fair to the company that you're with if you're not doing your job. And yes, we can't be afraid to say that. And yep, we can't be afraid to lead from the front. And by example, you see my database, you see what you see. I do the work.
Yeah, you do. You do the work. You are the definition of doing the work, which is what I love. The CEOs that do the work, that are in it every day, are the CEOs that I want to be with. Because the thing is, like, the CEOs that come in every day and show up but are absent from doing the work, it's a really big struggle, because you can tell they're not necessarily doing it. They're there, which is great, and they can make decisions, but sometimes they're the wrong decisions and they're not the right decisions to help their team. But the ones that are actually in their calling and understand the things that they're going through every single day, it's like, those are the ones that are in the trenches. It was the same thing when I looked for coaching. Like, I didn't want to be coached by an ISA that wasn't still being an ISA. I wanted to be coached by someone who was still coaching every day, or still making dials every day, picking up the phones. Like, you're getting into new conversations than you got into probably 10 years ago. Like, those types of conversations are objections now that other people would be like, oh man, I need to learn how to overcome that objection. Like those are the types of things that I want to be coached to. That's why I always look at different people joining teams and I'm like, join a team with the CEO who's doing the work. Like you have to, especially right now in this market, or you're not going to make it. You really will.
Or somebody who's doing the work. The team, somebody has to be the leader doing the work. Because not all, some of the really large teams, they have
a lot of different the org chart is like
right. But you know what? People got into real estate to sell real estate, and then their companies that recruit people.
Yeah.
So you could be the team leader is now a recruiter, and they're a business owner, and now they're trying to sell real estate. It's impossible to do all of that well because I've tried.
Yep.
And I have failed many times, and I'm staying in my wheelhouse, which is selling real estate at a very high level and teaching others by following, watching, and learning from me. It's like when you go to learn from somebody who, they're playing the violin. Well, how do you teach them? They play the violin next to you. And you listen, and you do the actions, and you listen, and you watch the cadence.
Mm-hmm.
And there's like beautiful music that's playing when you're in flow in this business. Right? People, we're extremely busy. Mm-hmm. We are extremely busy because we're all doing the work every single day. And so you attract more good things.
Yep. Yeah.
And I think there's something about, it's not just like a database, right? Database is not just like people in the CRM. These are real people.
100%.
I know that's why I don't call anybody a lead. I say we have an opportunity. We have a new opportunity.
Change your language, change your outcome. It's such a good mindset because it's one of those things that, and that's even what my partner Preston even says all the time. He says, these aren't leads we're giving people. Like we are giving them opportunities. Every single person in your database has a want, an interest, and a need. They all have a family member. They all have someone else that might also want to do business. Like there's a lot of people. And the way I look at databases is if you have 20,000 people in your database, times that by 150, because it's pretty sure that they know 150 other people in their life that you could also impact just by being a good influence or a good value to that person. Like a lot of things can stick to someone. You can make a massive impact on someone just by a 10-minute, 15-minute conversation on the phone. Like a lot of people don't realize that. But what you do after that 5 to 10-minute conversation, that's what really matters, is your intention and your follow-up. That's why a lot of these databases can get, as you were saying, like if you don't do the work, like they'll get lost. And then that person that you made such an impact on will feel as if they were just another number to you and pass to the side, which is super hard to get out of the rhythm of build your pipeline, follow up after you build that pipeline, consistently follow up, show up every day, time block the first 2 to 3 hours of your day, and really follow up with intention on your leads.
Have to. So why do you think team leaders buy more leads when there's 50,000 people in a database and there's only 10 agents?
I have a lot of theories behind that. But I think it's because they look at leads as more opportunities, as you're saying, because they are opportunities, but they look as if, oh man, if our database isn't transacting, it's because don't have enough leads. I've told CEOs before, shut off your lead flow. You have enough leads in your system. You just need to make your agents work harder, or you just need to have people dialing the database or doing something in the database because they're in there. They are in your database. But the thing is, though, is it's also the future as well. So, I mean, if you're generating opportunities like PPC leads, for instance, on average, they won't transact for 12 to 13 months. So every lead or opportunity you're bringing in today, it's safe to say that person won't actually transact for 12 months. So you're looking at the future business. So it's usually the time that those people are going to keep going. But as you know, it's like, as I was saying, what was that? Top of funnel leads? Top of
the funnel. But people that call from like GLS, Google Lead Services, they're bottom of the funnel generally.
Yeah.
So that's why we still do certain things, because we want the bottom of the funnel leads.
Yeah.
And the bottom of the funnel and we list the property, we organically get buyers from that. So we won't do PPC.
Yeah,
That's me.
no,
I
it's
don't
a
have enough
great,
capacity of people to do PPC. We would drown.
agreed.
Right. So then what else? Okay. Expired listings, mailing to them, and we call and mail. So that's again bottom of the funnel. We need the bottom of the funnel. Ones won't be ready. They'll go into the top and they'll flow through the system over the next, 6, 12, 18, 24 months.
Yeah. And the thing is when they see your name and see your brand and make that connection, and they understand that when I do something, I'm going to want to do it with them. It's all because of the interactions that you've given them. You know what I mean? Preston likes to talk about the 7-11-4, like the 7 hours of content, the 11 interactions in the 4 different locations. Like that's just where they see your brand. And that's just where they can really make subconscious decisions without you even having conversations with them. Sometimes there's probably been people reaching out, hey, we've gotten all your stuff, but that's the first time they've ever talked to you, but they want you to come list their home. And you're like, I've never even heard from you, but like, oh, I have all of your mailers. So it's like, wow, that's awesome. Like, I love to see that you're making an impact that way.
I got an email last Friday from somebody I haven't talked to in probably over 5 years. He has a commercial building to sell. He said, I want you to list it. His wife's also an agent.
Was that the one that was on you post on Facebook? It's like the corner building.
Oh, yeah.
I love that. I was going to call it.
Well, and the reason is that she does residential. She doesn't really do the commercial.
Yeah, of course.
And he knows that I have a lot of people that we work with. We showed it. We're showing it on Monday. Hopefully I'll have an offer on Monday night or Tuesday on it.
That's a beautiful one. But you said you've known him for a while?
For years, but I haven't talked to him in several years.
But he came
But
to
he
you
just,
first?
he emailed. He gets the emails. He gets the stuff. He knows I'm doing stuff because even though I haven't talked to him, he still gets all the stuff and all the emails in the database or the MailChimp, all the video content that goes out. We send 2 things out a week. I don't know if we should do more. We do 2.
Should always do more. You can always do
more than 2.
Justin Aver says you can always do more. You can always send.
Well, then I'll do more.
If we,
I don't want people like leaving me either.
Because it's too much. Well, that's the fun thing that people always say is like, we'll always look at and I always like to look at your metrics as well. Like, what is your open rate on marketing emails? Like, what is the click rate? Like, what is the opt out or what is done? Like the bounce, things like that. Just because I always want to see the different numbers and databases in different areas and see like, okay, like, is this enough? Like, oh, if we have a 40% open rate, like let's kick it up a notch. Let's do 3 a week. You know what I mean? That sort of thing. Like make those kinds of decisions, which is really why I love what I do, because I get to look at numbers and see what works in other areas and kind of just make a decision and kind of help teams just keep growing their pipelines and keep growing their business that way.
You should look at our MailChimp.
Is it? I think it's connected, right?
It's connected, yeah. But I have, my capacity is
yeah, you need to offload some things. You're supposed to be taking 200 listings this quarter.
No, not this quarter, not 200. I'll do appointment.
I keep increasing it.
This quarter, I think I'll do close to 150 appointments. But that's the thing. I have to figure out how many because it's either you have the appointment and either they say yes, they're ready. They decide they're not ready and they have to go into, they decide to rent it. So then that's next year. They don't make a decision. And like I said, like these people, I've had listing appointments 2 months ago and they just are signing now.
Yeah.
Because people are in their heads. People, ever since COVID, people have a problem a little bit with trust, I think.
Oh, for sure.
I think people got fooled. That's what I call it. Anyway, that's another conversation. So they have this trust level. So they need to gain the trust. So it takes some time. Or we've listed it and we've sold it. Or it's in pre-list. That means it's just sitting in our system, waiting for the seller to take whatever action they need to for us to be able to put it up, or it's on the market. So that's a lot of different stages. And I literally, I have to go through all of my sellers for 2024, but this is my book. I don't know if I showed it to you. I have this little book, and then I write
like book from CoStar.
Yes, you saw that. Okay. And then I write all the appointments, all of them. I write them down.
We got to get you a whiteboard.
I have a whiteboard. I have to, I'll take a picture of it, but it has to be erased and redone because I just keep writing new listings on there. Like I sent out 2 yesterday. I got 1 signed yesterday. I got a deal sold on Thursday. I sold it twice. It didn't close. It's under contract, 2.635, vacant land and a warehouse. So
jeez,
I'm just like
going. You're just cooking.
Yeah, because I have a threshold I want to hit and be at every week, and I'm not there.
Yeah.
So absolutely. I have to keep doing more work. I mean, I get up now earlier on Monday to Friday. I get up at 6, and after I do my little routine,
it's gotta be earlier than 6. I get an email from you at like 5. So
well, maybe I was up that day 5, but then somebody told me yesterday. My friend last night at dinner said you should be getting up at 5. I said, well, I just started getting up at 6. So let's get let me get this underway. Let me get the 6 underway, and then we can work towards the other. I said, I don't go to bed till 10:30.
Oh man.
So
that was me with Alec and Shannon. So I do the Chet Black wellness thing with John's son and and Shannon, his daughter-in-law. But it was funny because like they were like, well, you gotta start getting up early because you have to go to the gym for an hour and a half every single day. I was like, what? I was like, I've never gone to the gym for more than 30 minutes. So I don't know what an hour and a half looks like, but now I have to wake up at 5 a.m. and because I start at 7 for work and I'm like, I got to get going. This is crazy. So
you're at the gym for an hour and a half?
Yeah. Every single morning.
Well, that's extreme. Sorry.
Oh, no, but it's just 30 minutes of walking on a treadmill and then the different workouts. I have rest periods. So it's all together. I could probably get it done in an hour or less, but I try to just stick to the rest periods that they tell me to stick to. And I'm like, holy moly.
Oh, I couldn't, if that's the program, an hour and a half in a day, I couldn't do it.
But it is fun though, just because like sometimes like I'll end it early just because I didn't have an hour and a half in my life to do that. So it's just, like, hey, I got through half of it and I got to get to work or I won't be able to afford to do this anymore. So I got to get going.
Exactly.
But it's fun though. But
I'm glad it's working for you. Tell me what people can do. Like right now, they have a database.
Yep.
It's not really being managed, and maybe they're not yet ready to hire you and your company. What can they do to get themselves more organized and see, and not only more organized, but start to see some opportunities come out of it? Just some basic things.
Basic things would honestly just be, you need to really time block, especially if you're a single agent, you have to be good at time blocking. But if you're on a team, you still have to time block, but just make sure you're going to the meetings that are probably set up for you because they're there to teach you. Those are my first 2 things for sure. But then inside your database itself, you have to segment your database. Like you have to just go through and spend an entire day going back to all the things that you might have done and looking at the leads themselves and being like, all right, I never talked to this person. Why is this person in hot stage? Or I've never talked to this person. Why is this person in like cold or warm? Like finding out, because people get moved around all the time and agents sometimes will move them just because they don't know what else to do with them. So it's always good to get really organized by segmenting based off of like time frame, because if you know a time frame, you can really just hit all of the buckets based off of that. You can pick your favorite script or your favorite conversation to have and be like, I'm going to go through all my long-term nurtures today. I'm going to go through all my short-term nurtures today. And I'm going to hit all of those people and I'm going to have the same repetitive conversation. And by the time I get through the middle of it, I've hit my stride and my flow and I'm having great conversations. But really segmenting, that's my biggest thing for people, is no matter how big you are, whether it's 100 people in your database or it's 100,000 people in your database, really getting serious about moving people to the correct bucket.
So if they're in the database and their time blocked, what's a minimum standard for contacts and appointments?
So I've always said, and this is taken from John. He was saying 35 conversations a week. 35 conversations a week as an agent to get obsessed with that number. I did the math. That's a lot of conversations. But as an agent, if you're in production and doing a lot of closings, I would say just set your standard to 20 conversations a week. Get into 20 real estate conversations a week and just obsess over that number. If you obsess over that number, everything else will fall into place. Everything will fall into place.
Oh, I think we're going to really do well because our goal is 20 a day.
Yeah, you guys are going to do great. Which you guys do great. And I'm looking at your numbers right here. So this week you guys crushed it. Like, honestly, all of your people exceeded my expectations. Every single one of them.
Yeah, I sometimes fall short of 100 because I'm doing a lot of appointments too. Also marketing and also the financials and, all that stuff. Since I don't have an EA, I'm my own EA.
You are everything. You're wearing a lot of hats, which is the most difficult thing in the world to do, which is what we talk about for CEOs. Those are the killers. You know what I mean? Those are the ones that are trying to take on everything, which is great. But at some point, you do have to give up. Have to give up control of those things. I
don't want to do them, but if there's nobody else to do them, it's like, if there's no one to take out the trash, you have to take out the trash. Like, if you got to put the dishes in the dishwasher.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. Yeah. Trust me. I didn't have a chance to eat lunch yesterday just because my girlfriend was gone at a bachelorette party. So she was always laughing. She's like, you're not going to eat when I'm gone, are you? I was like, probably not. I'll just work the whole time. Like, not even get up at all. And she's just like, oh my gosh. So I get it. I've been there as well, but I'm like, I'm trying to just make sure that everything's running, and I just have to, you know what I mean? I'm going to be the person that's going to do the work because I can trust me more than I can trust anybody else. So I can make sure I get it done. So it's like, it's on me to make my own lunch today. So that's where you have to own it. Wear all the hats.
Well, if I didn't make my husband lunch every day, he wouldn't eat either. I do. I make our lunches every day. I bring all the stuff to the office. We have like a kitchen and big refrigerator, and I make salads and I cut everything. I'll be working. I'll have my headset on and I'll be on the phone doing a listing appointment, cutting up cucumbers.
That's great. I actually love that.
I don't waste any time. I try not to. Do my best not to.
No.
Okay, so before we wrap up today, Travis, I have two questions. One, guilty pleasure. What's your guilty pleasure?
Ooh, guilty pleasure. I used to play professional video games for like 6 years back before I was an ISA. So I still play video games at night whenever I have any free time, which is bad because I go from one computer to another computer. So it's a lot of computer time.
You better get some blue glasses.
I know. Everybody tells you that. I'm just like, I think these are blue. I don't know. My eyes are probably toast. So.
Oh my gosh. Okay. That's a good guilty pleasure for you. You get to play your video games.
I do. It's time to relax for that.
And what are you most excited about for the future?
What am I most excited about for the future? I'm excited for, this is going to be really bad. Maybe I shouldn't say this, but I'm excited for agents that are not hardworking agents to get out of the business. Is that bad to say? I don't know.
No.
Bad to say.
No, you can say whatever you want to say. And I think that there's a lot of validity in that. We need to rise up as a professional organization and give people better service, give them better guidance. I met with a client on the phone. She had a house for sale and it didn't sell. And I think she called me. She did call me. And I looked at the house and it didn't have a refrigerator, a dishwasher, or a stove, or a washer and dryer. I said to her, you can't even sell this house with a mortgage without a stove. Nobody told you this for 6 months. Gosh. And for the price point, it doesn't have central air. So this house will never sell at that. No, because everyone who's going to buy that house for $350,000 needs a mortgage.
Yeah.
So how can you, as an agent, not have told a seller you need to have a stove?
Yep. That's exactly what it is. That's the reason why. It's because those people are the ones that'll say, I'll sell your house for 0.5%. And then they'll just not give anybody the actual facts, as opposed to holding their value and showing up and being like, hey, listen, I understand that this is how much I cost to help you, but understand we're going to make this happen. Like people, and that's what I think, just even in the future in general, with all that stuff going on, people are just going to get afraid. But the really good agents like Tanya, who did 99 conversations last week, amazing. She had 12 hours on the phone. Like that type of agent, she is amazing. That type of agent is going to absolutely crush it. So like, that's why I'm excited. And that's why I'm like, that those are the agents that will stick. Your entire team did over 30 conversations last week. So, I mean, like that is not, out of all the databases I'm in, there is not a single team that like can say they did that.
It all starts at the top.
Oh, 100%.
We got this. Travis, it's been my pleasure to have you on the Be the Solution podcast today. Thank you so much for the opportunity and the time to share with us today on managing databases. Got a lot of stuff. You got a lot on your plate. Thank you.
Pleasure was all mine.